Hello, everybody. Welcome back to RollPlay Live, playing some Swan Song. Keep it together, Wheat.
What? That was Jeff.
I'm playing with 10-year-olds. It's fantastic. I'm really happy to be back here in the GM seat.
Barely take him outside.
So, the three of you keep doing what you're doing. Matt, would you like to play a role-playing game today?
Sure, yeah. I didn't do anything. Don't lump me in with them.
All right. So,
Your character is kind of.
So you're on the Swan Song. The three of you. The Swan Song is in very bad shape. It's going to be in need of some severe repairs before you can get it flying again. However, the ship's onboard artificial intelligence, one pizza party, is in working condition. They're still working stuff up, and we've just realized we've been informed that the three of you have been in some kind of psychic stasis for just over 100 years. Things have changed in the galaxy.
So we're talking about the ship being free. And then it hits me again how much time has passed.
Yeah, and I actually think this is like as we come in from the break, this would be the thing where you're all around. Maybe you're in the mess hall, and Pi is showing you some information that they've collected. And so we see the map of the sector, and we can see all these planets laid out in 3D in this kind of honeycomb shape, and we can see a planet marked Sigrid, right? And Sigrid, that hex, that floating hex, turns black, and we see a black cloud spread out from it. And as it does, we can see the worlds around it sort of turn black. And Pi is saying, the Warmind has had a great deal of time to spread. The human population in this sector is in grave danger. I don't know what to do. I think we need to do something about this.
Wait. Oh. I'm going to try something. Lenore, is it?
Dr. Lenore, but yes.
The crow moves twice at sundown.
Crows do not move,
Fucking,
as far as I
thought
understand.
Anyways, I thought they would have sent someone, all right? Pi knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Pi says, if your friends still exist, Captain, you can reach out to them, but my systems are damaged. I can't communicate outside of the ship. I think getting the Swan Song repaired is the first thing.
I understand.
Perhaps 3, maybe 4 or 5. What of the legend of Brumpotungus?
So,
Hold on. There's a better way to test this. Lenore, Brumpotungus, what does it mean?
so you've heard stories. It's a boogeyman kind of tale. Told by rugged. You've got Culture Spacer, right?
Yes, I do.
Let's have you make a roll. Let's
All right.
see how much of the legend of Brumpotungus that you know. You'll roll with intelligence.
Reroll it. Reroll it again.
Keep it on the I can't do it.
God,
Oh, God.
dice are tough.
Double ones.
All
You know
right.
what? For the German scientists, though, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, like, you failed the roll, which doesn't necessarily mean like you don't know anything.
Yeah.
It just means that the information that you have, like, if you had aced that, I probably would have been like, yeah, it's a scam. There is no Brumpotungus. But with a double one, like, yeah, you've heard stories told in spacer bars, grizzled veterans of ancient wars, drinking themselves into a stupor. Speaking of the war hero, the great hyperboat racer Brumpotungus, who they say there's a kind of King Arthur vibe to Brumpotungus that like someday Brumpo will come back and he will destroy the Warmind for us and save humanity. But like there's stories, right? It's boogeyman tales.
Which, as I'm telling you this tale, I'm staring off past one of the ports in the ship, and I reach over and pull a small necklace from under my shirt and just kind of rub it gently.
Right. Yeah.
May one day he come and save us all.
Yes, Saint Tungus.
So I look at the two of them like, don't fucking say a thing.
I love that idea that like you have a little like a metal coin. So there's a cantaloupe on one side of it. What's the stamp on the other side of the like token to Saint Tungus?
Fiery cowboy hat or something like that. Like,
Yeah, he's supposed to ride a nuclear bomb into space to destroy like his flaming hat, and blessed is the cantaloupe.
You finish the story and under breath, man, the future is fucking awesome. It's like, all right, the ship repairs. Let's talk about it.
So So Lenore, that your ship, it's a scavenging ship, but like you have a machine shop in it.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to repair and rebuild things that you scavenge so that you can sell them, but that it requires credits and time, and you'll need to dock the ship somewhere to make that happen. Y'all are in 105 right now. If you want to take the dice roller off there, so you're in 105. So let's talk about nearby space. Now, Lenore, you know that basically everything in this corner of the universe is like a no-go zone.
Yeah.
The Warmind kind of controls this part of the sector, which puts this whole area as kind of the forefront of the war with the Warminds.
Right here?
Yeah,
The
like
blue,
that.
yeah.
Those three systems are at the next most immediate threat. 407 down there is home for you and for Richardson. The Vafai system is where Oninsa is. I think Andoni is in that system too. Let me bring up my directory here. So Vafai, that's where Majid and Oninsa are. So for you, this is home, Piani. And then the other closest system is Mualimi, which is where it's the sector northmost edge of the Hovaden Caliphate, and they've kind of closed themselves off in those three systems. They have very intensive security protocols, and it would be possible but difficult to find safe shelter there. Right. That's also the last planet the three of you were on. Kamna is in that system, and that's the harvest world where they were digging up the crystals. And I think while you're having this conversation, the sector map appears in the display, clears out some of the black cloud, and brings up some options for refueling.
So I've have Fujiwara and Gans caught up to us from the ship?
No, I think that they've just left you to have this conversation with the strangers.
Then I like about the rest of you and kind of also speaking to Pi, say, well, looking at the current circumstances, to get your ship repaired, our best bet is to head off to the Valparaiso system. It will take some time, of course, and some credits.
Well, let me just pull out my imaginary wallet of fucking tons of money that's been stuck here for 117 fucking credits. How much money do we have?
My communication systems are offline.
Her communications system. We never actually talked if it's her communication systems are offline, so we don't have any money. We've been dead for 117 years.
That is all right.
We have the crystals, Captain. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you can... The fucking crystals. Get those off the ship. Those are yours. I don't give a shit.
Well, you will sell them to her.
Business Alfarius. I trained them well.
I've done a lot of business dealings.
I'll sell them to you if you want them.
I got a whole leg you can buy.
I would like to say that technically we have discovered you all as salvage. While the ship is yours and your lives are yours.
You're close enough to Majidi space that technically you could probably claim them as slaves if you wanted to.
Alternatively, Captain, we could kill most
technically
of the crew,
too, I could just send out a fucking psychic wave to the crystals and blow us all to fucking hell, and I'm sure you don't want that to happen.
So we've got two my crewmates are saying here that we have the upper hand twice, twofold. He says he can kill everyone on the ship, and she could blow everyone up.
Her plan is terrible, though. It'll kill us as well. For sure.
I mean, it's true.
But look, I didn't want...
It's also a lie.
Johnny, I mean...
Keep in mind she's speaking from a wheelchair as we talk.
As this conversation's happening, my focus drifts now to the camera that's looking upon us, and I go, Pi, is your crew capable and willing to take any of these exercises?
So there's a long pause as Pi thinks over how to
And then
say
I'm
this.
just like,
We've actually done
yes.
everything that has
So
I try to throw my voice, of course we are, you idiot.
Yeah, Pi says, I wouldn't underestimate how completely insane this crew acts from time to time. I would prefer if none of them died, but they're unpredictable that way. The captain especially.
You bet your ass.
As that happens, my focus kind of drifts off slightly towards where Sigrid was on the map, and say, "There's already enough death in this universe. If we can bring ourselves to the Valparaiso system, unload what crystals we can, I'm willing to also put personal credits towards the line of repairs of your ship, and we will take it from there. I wish there to be no violence. I wish to maintain the safety of my crew, my compatriots, and your own. We're lucky to have found you. We hold you no ill will. There is curiosity in your companion within the core of this ship, and I have a scientific interest in how you've managed to stay as you have been this past century.
Okay, I look towards the other cast across the way. Just
It's not my first vote.
I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Why did it take 117 years to find us?
That is part of what we're trying to figure out.
Well, when did you start looking?
We weren't looking for you in particular. We just came across you.
They saw the face on the ship.
So
Had to
when you
investigate.
say that to Piani, are you telling the truth?
I will say, I am telling, from a logistic sense, truth. Yes,
Yeah.
we were not looking specifically for you. However, there was something drawing us in your direction that is unspoken and really not understood.
How much of that subtext would be something that Piani would pick up on? I mean, from your perspective, like, is it obvious that you're like dissembling, or would it be more subtle? Like, I guess my question is like, how good is Lenora at hiding her feelings?
Lenora is actually pretty good at hiding her feelings. However, is razor precise with as much as she wishes to let out. You get from her demeanor and how she discusses this and ekes out information that she is a trained manipulator when necessary.
I think, again, there's a perspective of, like, they haven't totally freaked out about Pi. So why, whereas like 117 years ago, someone could have come aboard our ship and been like, what the fuck is going on? You're harboring, but there's still an AI. So there's still a lot of confusion. And I would say at this point, like, Piani doesn't really believe the story. Like, she feels like there's definitely something that's being hidden from us. So, I mean, I'm just like, fine. To the plan, great. Let's go there. Let's fix the ship.
Okay.
How far as you get a vote, even though you're not. I didn't mean that.
Cyborgs have feelings sometimes as well.
117 years to think on it. I've learned that. I turn around and roll my eyes.
He's a thoughtful man. I will require my body glove and my FEP back, and then I will be comfortable doing any of the plans, because alternately I could still kill everyone and take the ship.
He could. He's not making that up. I've seen him do it.
Very well. We will get your equipment, and that leaves you with a neutral vote and a vote in both directions. We are still at an impasse, it seems.
Well, yeah, no, we're going to get. The ship's got to get repaired. I don't give a fuck about his vote. The ship's got to get repaired.
All right. Very well.
Wait, hold. Do you have any whiskey?
She looks over past. Have you seen my crewmates? We have plenty of whiskey.
All right, great. We're going to get along just fine. This is perfect. Let's head on over to Vervosvis.
So yeah, I think we fade out on that scene, but before we do, we see Gant, the pilot, and he's standing probably like at there's a foreman's office kind of thing, like an upper area where you can oversee all of the thing, and he's just staring at the ship kind of intently, and we hear the end of the conversation like he's listening in. And yeah, he's just this blank stare down at the ship, like something's going on. So we get the shot of him before we fade out to the next thing. So it's going to take some time. The spike drive on your ship is just a rating 1, so it's going to take 12 days to get from here to Varvaresos, which will put us in like mid-July, 3318, when you arrive. So a little bit of like reminder for y'all, but also some information for how the system is. So Varvaresos is a system that only has one habitable planet. It's Strophios. Strophios is a world that y'all have visited before in the past.
Yeah.
It's where a branch of the Hovaden Caliphate's religion of their branch of Islam split off. There was a heresy that started there called the Church of the New Prophet. And this guy, this demagogue of the New Prophet, basically declared Varvaresos the Holy Land and moved a bunch of his people there. It was locked off. There's been kind of ongoing religious conflicts right up until when things really got serious with the Warmind, and the Hoveden Caliphate was like, you know what, go ahead and be heretics. We have bigger problems than that. So Strophios is kind of this like pilgrimage site as the Holy Land. It has been now for 120 years. And it's a very important place to another system that has adopted the religion of the New Prophet. The people of Asa, their state religion is the New Prophet. Their current president is a very religious man, and so people come from Asa to Varvaresos to visit the Holy Land and the dome cities of Strophios.
Gotcha.
So that'll be where you'll fuel up in that system.
Okay.
So over the 12 days that you're in drive space while you're traveling between the folds of time, what's everybody going to do? What are you going to do while you're on the ship? Do you make an effort to you want to get drunk with the crew? Do you want to because it's a long time, right? Like you're spending a lot of time kind of in leisure. So everybody has an opportunity to get to know each other or to check out things.
Do you think rather quickly we would have a private crew
some
conversation?
Some kind of meeting?
Yeah.
You're 117 years behind
the second they leave, I turn annual meeting. And I just lean back and cross my arms.
So the confusing situation.
Important.
The confusing situation with the annual meeting is that we had 7 of them in 2 years. Yeah, so so that would be the next scene, I guess. So you call an annual meeting of the crew.
Yeah.
All right, where does it take place? Set the scene for us.
They're in the mess hall where we usually have them, I guess. Or no, we can do them on the deck of the ship, the main deck. And before that, I would go to my room. Is my tuxedo jacket, my denim jacket still there?
Yes. Yeah.
I put on a denim jacket.
It's a formal annual meeting.
Yeah, it's a formal annual meeting. And then that's...
I believe the outfit was described as what, Justin Timberlake at the...
Yeah, at the VMAs.
The VMAs, yeah. Okay.
Brittany, yeah. So yeah, I 1 foot steps into frame and you see the long denim leg. Immediately you guys know what's happening, and I walk onto the deck of the ship and look at the two of you. Well, we got 117 meetings to catch up on. This might be kind of long. What Pi, you there?
Always.
I don't even know where to begin.
Did they freak out when they found you? Were they looking for you?
I'm not sure. I've had several conversations with the crew. I don't think that either they suspect that I'm a full-fledged artificial intelligence, or else things have changed. I don't know the nature of the perimeter agency in this time. But I suspect if they are still hunting AI, they have their hands full.
You know, one way to find all that out is to get into their system, Pi. Like I said when I first got on the ship yesterday.
I'm aware of your complete lack of ethics in this regard, Captain. Piani, do you think it's a good idea?
Well, I don't know yet, but...
Piani, hold on.
Before...
Piani.
What were you doing for 117 years?
That's less important than the fact that we died and came back, all right?
We might be able to get the information without doing a thing. We might just be able to ask for it.
But that's not fun.
I spent a long time thinking. I was given something by my sibling, by the Warmind. I'm not sure if you remember. It was a long time ago. A gift, a change to my programming. I've been pondering it. I'm connected to the Warmind in some way. I don't understand yet. I'd like to understand it, but it's going to take me time. I need context.
117 years wasn't enough?
117 years in a vacuum is one thing, but I'm going to have access to more information now.
Oh, so you are going to just get in. See? Why didn't...
How about this? I'll get the information, and then I'll bring it back to you.
If you can connect me even with the ship's navigation systems, I can have a conversation with it, figure out at least the beginnings of what's going on.
Is Watermine the only AI that you know of?
No. I have several siblings. I'm not sure if they're all alive. That's something I would like to check. It would be useful to have a conversation with them.
I look towards Alfaris and say, "You got any plans?"
The Warmind must die.
Okay, well that's our plan then. I guess we're gonna figure that out.
So to follow up on what you were saying before, Pi says, Captain, once we have communications available to us when we reach Varvaresos, if you reach out to your contacts, if they still exist in some form, they might be able to help us.
Well, they might not be the same people, but they'll exist. I'm sure of it. Means my dad's dead, so that's kind of fucking nice. Don't have to see him ever
May your
again.
father rest in peace.
Yeah. Hopefully pieces.
Probably a long time ago.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I think maybe
That's an
there's
asshole.
also a moment where I'm like, Sicarian.
Yeah, that guy's probably alive somehow. I mean, it's the future. They had to figure out something. He's got to be alive.
I think when we can, there's probably some messages to send.
I mean, he probably had kids or something.
Little Sicarios.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a priority to get some data.
All right, I'll try to talk to some folks. Alfaris, don't kill anyone just yet.
Not yet.
These people seem nice. If they're just trying to make a quick buck, we'll know it pretty soon.
Maybe I'm like, yeah, Pi. So one last thing, who do you trust from their side?
I'm not sure I trust any of them yet. Lenore seems nice enough. I think Gant and Fujiwara want to kill all of you.
Well, that makes sense.
I felt the same thing, maybe.
Perhaps in the future you could share such thoughts unprovoked.
So Pi,
I'm
like,
still in charge of security.
there's
I
a
need that
moment. There's a
information.
moment where if you could hear Pi's hard drive spinning, you're like, you would hear them now. And then Pi says, "I didn't want to step on your toes. Security is your job out there."
His mouth like digitally like curls up into a smile, and he's like, "Fantastic."
So while they're having their annual meeting, Lenore, you know that Gant and Fujiwara are definitely having that, like, listen, it'd be easier just to get them out here conversation. Where do you go? Where do we see you next? Who are you with? Are you by yourself? Are you with another member of the crew? What's going on?
I would be with Dr. Gerardo and kind of imploring understanding on this, and kind of knowing that there's this slight rift in faction between even our own crew, that her seniority and our direction is going to be necessary, and making sure that she understands the importance of one discovering, like, scientifically, both out of curiosity and the implications of them having and housing such an ancient and still functional AI, the instincts that I have involved with it, and a crew that seems very capable of counterattacking. That if we were to allow Gans and Fujiwara unchecked, that will end poorly.
Yeah. And I think, how long have you been with this particular crew, like, with these guys?
I've probably been with Drado for a number of years. This crew, not very long.
You and Dr. Gerardo, you and Chandra, like, you're both working directly for Richardson, like, you work with them. I think that Fujiwara and Gant are, like, hire-ons, basically. Yeah. Gant relatively recently, like, he's the newest addition. This might be the only mission he's been on.
Yeah. So I figure, Fujiwara we've known for a while. He's probably like the one go-to, and then Gant was the contact. He's like, I have a buddy, bring him on.
Fujiwara's like, I know this guy.
Exactly. And so, I'm still not entirely certain about Gant, but yeah.
Okay. So where are you and Chandra when we fade in on the scene?
For this sequence, I would say that we've finished going over, because we've only been maybe a day and a half in travel at this point.
It can be, we can jump around, because we basically got 12 days of narrative time where it can be like, you know, you're in space, you can't go anywhere.
Fair enough. I guess at this point, I'd be sitting with her. She'd walk in as I'm currently going through on my data slab about all the various vitals and statistics view, and I'm finding curiosities both in the eye that you have implanted and just trying to see what other biological elements might explain away my being drawn to her.
Yeah, so looking at the medical information, then that Piani has metadimensional extroversion syndrome, which, again, as you know, is incredibly rare now, especially since the Academy fell. So,
oh damn.
Yeah. So there's the fact that you have on board, I think, and this is the thing that maybe Dr. Gerardo sees this, right? She sees you're looking at Piani's like medical information, and she walks in and gives you a concerned look, and she says, yes, about that. Probably best not to tell Fujiwara and Gant about this just yet.
I'm of a similar mindset, yes.
She's going to need treatment. I can synthesize the drugs, I think. I'm going to have a conversation with her. We can't have an unmedicated psychic on board.
That was also a worry of mine. However, and I will attest to the rather uniform camaraderie that she's built with her companions, and their, how do I put it, instinct to rapidly set fire to anything that crosses their intent.
She says she's like, it's fascinating from an anthropological standpoint. I mean, these people, are they? Is this what everyone was like 100 years ago?
I've heard rumors, and I've had stories told to me even back in university, and I mean, I could not possibly imagine.
Must have been a time of terrible violence.
Well, what? Violence has forged a much more situated society in places. So, but at the very least, if looking at the records for how long they've been away, it looks like they were around for the inception of the hive, of the war mind. And this pie has me extremely curious. I think it is best that we do not cross any thresholds that would push them away until we have more information as to why they were derelict for so long, what the crystal's manifestation dealt with, and what the connection is between the current struggles and why they were lost for so long.
Yeah, she nods and she says, "I was thinking the same." And she hands you a essentially like a laptop, and she says, "There's some information in there that might prove useful. See if you can find any reference to this pizza party or the Swan Song in the records."
I will do it again.
And she starts to turn, and then she turns back around and she says, "We're going to have a conversation with Fujiwara and Gant about shares and what to do with this ship. Those crystals are very expensive, but very dangerous to sell." She sighs and she says, "But research is expensive. It's too big an opportunity to turn up. You don't happen to know anyone in the Madari Syndicate, do you?" And do you have culture criminal at all?
I do not.
Okay, yeah. So when she says Madari Syndicate, these are some scary people. They engineered this drug called blue fever that they've basically used to subjugate like entire populations. They get people hooked on it, and they've gone from like an interconnected group of like crime families to like legitimate governments of planets, and they run. Basically, like, once things got bad with the war mind, they were like, cool, law is coming apart, and they have, like, black markets, and, like, they basically just, like, run shit, and they're very bad, very dangerous people, but they'd be the ones you'd want to sell this stuff.
So as she mentions that, I kind of withdraw. Slightly. My already pale exterior goes translucent white, and my eyes go wide. No, I do not. And I would wish not to.
She nods and she says, "Safer that way, but well, we don't have an unlimited supply of funds, and if we want to keep this ship running."
Well, maybe I'll find something in here.
She smiles and nods, and she says, "Well, maybe if we're lucky, our new friends can introduce us to the organization." And she laughs like it's a joke, like, haha, maybe these cavemen can help us out.
I laugh too, and most likely.
Yeah. So she looks at it and she says, she looks at the research, and she's like, "Well, good luck."
Thank you. And as she turns, as she goes to leave, I call out to her and say, "Chandra."
She stops.
"Just keep an eye around you. There's a lot of tumultuous possibilities with the current scenario.
Yeah, she grins, and she says, "This is where the best science is done," and turns and goes. So, while you're in transit, how integrated with the other crew? Like, do you spend time with them? Like, your ship is like just fucked, so you can't really use, like, you could stay on it, but the life support doesn't really work. And Dr. Gerardo is like polite and friendly with you, but at a distance, right? Like, she's not like, let's all be best buds, but she's like, yes, if you need somewhere to stay, we have quarters, but she tries to maintain a little bit of a distance. She's still not sure if you're cargo or people or what yet. But yeah, so you can stay on their ship. You could just get a bunch of blankets and stay on the Swan Song. You're like, fuck you, I don't care.
Yeah, I think that's what I do.
Yeah, okay.
I sleep in my own quarters.
Yeah, so you bust out all the those crinkly survival blankets that you have in the corner and just like wrap yourself in them.
Yeah, I try to get the music working and
Okay.
Try to return to normal times.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
I spend a few days, walking around the ship, looking at terminals that aren't used that often, like finding out where I might be able to get data from, talking to people about, different aspects of that, so that I can go in and make a move just to grab a bunch of data.
Okay, so you want to surreptitiously, like, you're not going to, because you could probably just ask, like, hey, we've been out a while, can you, like, hook us up to your computer so we can, like, figure out what's been going on? Can I look at Wikipedia?
Piani wouldn't ask, though.
But
now that things have normalized a little bit, it's like, oh, yeah, I probably could, and I even suggested that, but no, I should totally just steal this because that's what I do.
That's what you do? Okay, well,
Plus, maybe there's even, 117 years. Let's see what they got now. Maybe a little, this is a challenge, too.
So, so I think that maybe that's the conversation that Pi is having. Like, you're hunched over the computer, and you're looking at this, like, password screen, and Pi's like, you could probably just ask. Like, no, I have to do this myself. So, yeah, let's have you make a computer roll. Let's have you computer
it. Is it based off of what?
Intelligence.
Okay. Yeah. Then it's 2d6 plus 2.
Okay.
Not bad. 9.
So 9.
Okay. All right. So what are you looking for particularly? Like, you're going to be able to gain access to the unprotected stuff relatively easily. You're not going to be able to use this roll to, like, get control of any really factor of the ship, but
right.
You can
so
take any
the
public
unprotected
information.
stuff that would probably be good is any 6 months of ship slot. Where were they before they found us? Like, where were they stopping? Who were they visiting? That's probably fairly important. I think any level of communication that would help us answer the questions that we were.
So all the
asking.
comm stuff is definitely like on the other side of the firewall, right? Like they keep that stuff not like hyper encrypted or anything, but it is like personal information, and so you wouldn't be able to access that directly. Now you got a 9, so I'll give you an option. You can either just access the easy public stuff, or you can get into the other stuff. But I'm gonna roll a die, and that's how many days it takes before someone notices you.
Nice.
And will I have to roll to find out how long it will take me then?
No, you can do it right away. Basically, you can just punch a hole in there. Punch a hole in
their
security.
So no matter what.
No matter what, it's just a matter of time, and I'll roll to see how many days before someone is like, wait a second.
God. Jeff, fuck.
I'm not there, man.
Well, this is a question that Wheat is answering for Piani. Piani isn't aware of this.
I'm at the doorway though, looking out for you.
Yeah, I think I just go for it then.
Okay, sure. I will roll over here.
Uh-oh.
Don't look, JP.
I can see. Can't look.
Don't look. Look somewhere else. Okay. All right.
I didn't look.
So you dig into the ship and you start to look through their communications. Are you focusing on anyone in particular, or are you looking for?
Probably Gantz is kind of or is it the other one here?
Gant is the pilot.
Or Gantz is the pilot.
Fujiwara is like the engineer, and then Dr. Gerardo and
I mean, with Pi saying
Zimmerman.
like those were the two that wanted to kill us, like those are probably the two that I'm focusing in on.
Okay. So Lawrence Gant has very few personal communications on and off ship, like one per system, even on extended like in-system stays. He seems to have family on Majid, like a wife that he's communicating with. Okay, and so he's communicating with her, but it's very like dry. It's not like my dearest wife, I miss you and our children. It's more about like, talking about like banking information and like like pretty dry stuff. So not a lot of personality you can gather from his messages.
Okay.
Fujiwara is like the opposite. Fujiwara has like people. Men and women in every port they've ever been to, where he'll get into a town and blast out the same message to like a dozen people and be like, "Yo, baby, I'm in system. What are you doing right now?" And he seems to be very socially active when he has downtime. On the ship, he sends a lot of messages to the other members of the crew that don't get answered, and they're usually him whining about the temperature, about his pay, things that he wants the next time that they stock up. Yeah, he just seems like a deck rat. Like
so I find nothing. Is what you're
no, exactly. Nothing like that would immediately set you off to be like, something's going on. Fujiwara is just a practical guy, and he doesn't know you, and it's not like a conspiracy to murder you or anything.
Do I find anything specifically about the Swan Song?
No, the name only comes up, I think, after you see maybe a couple of messages pass back and forth between Dr. Jurado and Zimmerman about like, maybe this is the ship that they were in, and it's like a news article or whatever. And I think that it doesn't look like they were looking for you particularly, but once they found you, it's obvious they're like looking into doing some research.
Okay.
What kind of stuff does Piani find in your inbox, Zimmerman?
You find a lot of discussions regarding a lot of just general feeds of information updates regarding Gunhild 8. More like cultural and political circumstances, more just just for my own personal keeping up with home, essentially. Sure. There's a lot of discussions on advancement of the conflict with the Warmind, a lot of discussions about various assaults, lost ground, struggles, both cultural conversion, and a lot of detailed reports regarding the actual corrupting and conversion of various life forms to the side of the Warmind, specifically.
Yeah, and this is something that you've seen firsthand
right.
on Pitcairn Station, right, where the crew of that station got converted into like nanite zombies
right.
by the Warmind's influence. Yeah.
I guess with the all the heavy Warmind info, if there was any additional data just kind of farming through there about the Warmind, that would be like the last thing I'd be after.
Sure, yeah, and you're able to access because the ship picks up news information from the exchange every time they drop in. So you've got some archives of the past few months. Yeah, I mean, it seems like there were efforts to curtail the Warmind spread. The High Beam fleet, the pirate fleet, and Fotenhauer had a peace talk, basically, where they're like, look, we need to not fight each other right now, and we need to focus our attention on this shit. And they held them back for a really long time. But the High Beam fleet basically betrayed Fotenhauer in a moment of profit, right, where they were like, in that moment, they could make some profit off of Fotenhauer losing a particular battle, and they stole a bunch of warships. And so the Fotenhauer have been like trying to stay. They're sort of split their attention between trying to protect humanity, but also like get vengeance for this thing that the High Beam did.
Okay.
I think mainly it's just like this slow spread. Like every system that the Hivemind or the Warmind has turned its hive on has eventually fallen, but it works patiently. You particularly get some information about there's articles about how MES like sufferers have been, like the Academy specifically got hit even on planets outside of the Warmind's purview, and there are stories from those planets of all of the non-MES like staff in the Academy being murdered, basically, and all the people with MES being kidnapped and like either converted or taken away.
From that data, I would then I would basically know that how rare this was, or would I still? I just know that there was troubling times.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It would be. You could potentially like extrapolate that out, but yeah, the fact is that the Warmind seems to be hunting psychics, and that you are in short supply because the academy has kind of like collapsed. So people, newborns that have MES, have nowhere to go to like learn it, and so same thing happens. They go crazy or die.
Right. Okay. All right.
And so I would say, do you speak German?
No.
Okay, so there's a bunch of messages in there that are in German.
Okay.
That you can't understand.
Okay. Great. I take everything back that I can and share it with Pi first, and then the crew.
Okay, sure. So at some point, I think during the voyage, Higgs, you are actually there's probably a scene where everybody is in the mess hall of the larger ship.
Right.
This is a retrofitted troop carrier, so the mess hall is still mostly intact, and it's just like big long steel tables, and there's a kind of cafeteria style side thing, and there's some like pre-made food that's been set up in these troughs that everybody's like eating from. And yeah, y'all are used to the ship food by now, but everybody's in here, and you're invited to like eat with them because obviously your ship's food producing units don't work. So everybody's in this little space at once.
Right.
And yeah, so the three of you, I assume, are like sitting at kind of one end of a table together.
Yeah, to start off with. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So everybody is here. Maybe you and Dr. Gerardo are, having a conversation at one table. Gant, I think, maybe isn't here. I think Gant is like, he like comes in, gets food, and then leaves.
Right.
But Fujiwara comes in, and he gets a tray of food, and he walks over to where the three of you are. And this is close enough that you're within earshot of the conversation. And he does that obnoxious thing where he like turns the seat around the other way and like sits down on it.
Do we know his name's Fujiwara?
Yeah. He's got it on his jumpsuit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Introduced himself to us.
Yeah.
So he basically slights us.
It's like, no, he comes over and he drops his tray on the table like where you're sitting, and then turns the chair around and like sits down on it.
Oh.
And like leans over on it and looks at you, and then looks at the food, and he's like, "Was it any better 100 years ago?"
I look down at it. What did we even eat on the ship?
Bourbon, mostly,
Yeah.
I think, in your case.
Well, yeah, I look at him. Well, it had a slight nuttiness to it. It was mostly liquid form. It was all right.
He shrugs, and he says, "How about this?" And he slides a metal cup over to you. And it smells like it's full of paint thinner.
Yeah. I look at him. What's that?
He just kind of gives you the eyebrows. He's like, "Try it."
No, I've done this game before. What the fuck? What is that?
He picks it up, and he like takes the drink of it, and you can see him like sweat a little. Puts it down, and he's like, "This is the good shit. I made it myself." Slides it back to you.
I look at the other two.
It's not shit. I can smell it from where I'm sitting.
All right. Alfarius, we've got your vote of confidence. Piani, I'm sorry if anything comes out of my words. I'm already drunk. I just like take the
Okay. Yeah,
take a
it's
long
very
shot.
strong,
Yeah.
like rubbing alcohol, basically. But it gets the job done. You already feel a little tipsy. And he laughs, like, hits the table, and he's like, there you go. Some things never change. And he takes it back and takes a flask out of his belt, and he pours it in. He's like, so, enjoying your time on the ship?
I can't drink any of that. My ability to digest food was destroyed when I was reassembled by the Warmind. Well, the Warmind destroyed me. My reassembling was not by the Warmind. That's confusing. I apologize.
he looks
He's
over
not
you.
drunk, by the way.
Looks
This
over
is
you, and
just
he's like, I don't know how it was in your time. We don't make friends with fucking robots. You don't talk to me. And he looks back at you, and he's like,
Well,
shit's
Alfarius, I'll relay any messages you want then if you want to talk to you. Just
Wait,
anything else
hold
you
on.
want to say to him.
Tell him I'm hoping the rumor is true.
The robot says he's hoping the rumor is true.
Yeah, I fucking heard him.
But you said you weren't listening. It's been fine on the ship. You're going to offer me any?
And
There's a saying where I come from. Some people sound like they're raised by...
And he slides the cup over across the
Kind
table.
of looks
to
at you like, really? Just zinged you really good.
And I think Piani knocks it back too.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not a terrible ship.
Yeah, he says, I've seen worse.
Hey, so can you answer? I'm just gonna say words, names. Just say if you know them. You want to do that? It's a fun game we used to play back. It's called Learning.
And he looks at you and he's like, all right, shoot.
All right. So Rajani Van Dorn. You know the name?
He shakes his head, not Rajani, but Van Dorn. Oh, yeah.
Well, it has been. What's first name now?
He says, I mean, maybe we're thinking of different people, but Tarsum Van Dorn, she's a big deal. Runs one of the clans. Owns most of Majid.
Piani, how's that work? She wasn't in. I tried for hours.
How is Babby for?
How does that?
It could be a
Anyways,
name change, Captain.
Might be name. Let's just go with name change. It's less
Could
confusing.
be.
Sicarian. What about that?
And he nods. He's like, ain't nobody in this sector hasn't heard of Mr. Sicarian.
What'd he do?
What'd he do? He fucking war hero, man.
Look, it's 117 years. All right.
Fair.
It's been a long time.
He shrugs and he's like, lots of stories, mostly from the old days. Early stuff. Before the big betrayal.
Yeah. Is he still alive?
He shrugs. I don't know, man.
Who else? What are some other big names here? I'd take another drink.
You're like, who else do I? What other friends I got?
What if Eric?
He's like, I know a lot of Erics, man.
You gotta go with last names too.
He was a Viking.
Eric the Viking.
Shakes his head. It's like,
His name is inconsequential. He almost never spoke. He was very awkward.
puts his hands up. I don't know, no fucking awkward Vikings.
Yeah, that's too common. Vikings are pretty awkward. I look down. At
And he says to you, Piani, he's like, if this Viking if he came from Sigrid, well, he's fucking dead now. Everybody on that planet is.
Oh, see, he's fucking dead now.
Is it gone?
He's like, might as well be. Place is shit central now. That's where the Warmind lives. You should see the place. Some of those spy probes. And he like shakes his head, and for a second, like you can see him actually like some of his like bullshit like goes away, and he's just like a little troubled. He's like, man.
Well, I feel like I have 1,000,010 questions to ask him, but the one I really want to know is like, who's fighting the Warmind right now?
He shakes his head, and he says, the way I see it, it's not a fight. It's a wait. You hope you die of old age before he comes to your house. Everybody's moving out, trying to get as far away from Sector North as we can. There's no organized front, not anymore.
I turned to Piani and, man, who would have thought, when we turned that son of a bitch on, he'd take over the galaxy. I'm just sitting there thinking.
Yeah, Fujiwara's like,
I looked down at my
say
drink.
what?
Man. Just take a shot.
Yeah, both
Whistling.
both me and Chandra's head just kind of crane over
You're
at the table.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Alfari's
Yeah,
like,
so you see at the other table, like nearby, Dr. Gerardo and Zimmerman are both kind of like now paying attention to the conversation.
Their humor is in poor taste. Surely they did not turn on the Warmind that destroyed my planet, my family, and me.
Oh, shit. We never told him, did we?
What, are you saying that out loud?
I mean, it's quieter. Man, 117 years. Well,
It's just a series of unfortunate events that occurred, but the Warmind was at the forefront of it all. So yeah, we've had dealings, and they weren't very good.
He laughs. He's like, yeah, that's one way of putting that shit. But now you got a fucking robot crew member, and you got an AI on your ship.
What? Isn't that normal now these days?
Shakes his head. Nah, far from it, man. Far from it.
Does anyone else have AI?
He shrugs. He's like, yeah, the French.
Yeah, fuck them.
What about cyborgs?
How the fuck did the
robots?
hold on? How the fuck did the French live through all this?
He kind of looks at you like, that's a good question. Like you've struck a political note with him that he thinks that you're like. He's like, yeah, man, that's right. Well, 9/11 was an inside job. But like, yeah, you look at him and he's kind of like, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I don't understand, but I'll learn. Got a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, and he nods and he's like, yeah, that you do, caveman, that you do. Hey, you ever had blue fever before?
I look towards Piani and look towards. No.
he reaches out, he puts his hand on your shoulder, and he's like, when we get to Strophios, man, we are going to party. I'm going to show you some shit.
That sounds terrible.
And
I look towards the other group.
yeah, he gets up, and he looks at his like untouched food, and he's like, you know what? I lost my appetite. Thinking you can have it, robot. And he like slides it towards you. And like if you don't do anything, like I imagine you're gonna stop it, but he kind of slides it towards you, like, oh, it's gonna fall in your lap and embarrass you. And he's kind of
He's like
stop
catches it immediately.
And he like
Still looking at
just sneers at you and turns his back and starts to walk away. I think that Dr. Gerardo gets up, like as Fujiwara is leaving, she gets up and comes over to the table and she's like, I'm sorry about him. He's a good engineer, but not much in the manners department. I think it's why he does things like this. Comes on missions.
He's robot doesn't hurt him.
That also hurts.
She gestures to one of the seats and she's like, may we join you?
Yeah, I mean it's your ship. You can do whatever you want.
Be that as it may, I try to be polite, and she comes and sits down.
I go ahead and close to the side of the table and sit as well.
We actually started a major distraction based off the fact that I do care, Captain Higgins.
That is.
The 117 years have been rough to your memory.
Yeah.
So she says, this is not going to be the first time you're going to face that kind of behavior. His attitude is common. There is a distrust of cybernetics. And she looks at you in your eye. She says,
I forget.
Things have changed with the war mind and the conflict. People don't trust artificials the way they used to.
That would be a misconception. I am actually only partially artificial. To describe me as an artificial is unfair to the 33% of my body that is still biological.
She nods and she says, well, convey my apologies.
I shall do that.
So she says, Zimmerman tells me that we are headed for Strophios. I don't know if you know this, but it's improved somewhat. If anything, it's one place that is going to be more peaceful than it was in your time. We'll take advantage of that while we can. Refuel your ship. You can communicate with your... And she kind of like gives you a look like, did any of you have children?
They're all dead now, most likely. No children to speak of.
So she says, I don't know whether to apologize or if that's a good thing.
No, it's fine. Higgins was perpetually alone, actually. He pursued several women to no success at all. Most of them were lesbians.
You look over at me and I've got my cup and wink and smile. Just take a look.
The great thing is that that's like not a false statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's saying it like it is.
Yeah.
And if Alferis is going off, I just like almost like the one that's still alive is the one that matters.
Yeah, and she says, well, you seem to have a good connection. I want to talk to you about something. Lenore and I were speaking about this cargo. Now you have to understand, we're legitimate scientists. We're not just scavenging or looking for profit. We are researching. Your ship is a fantastic find, but research is expensive, much more expensive than piracy or slavery. If we're going to sell these crystals, and you can see her, it pains her to even have to have this conversation, and she's like, I'm going to need your help. You seem like the kind of people that have like you could see her struggling. Like she's trying really hard to be polite, and I'll be like, "You're a bunch of dirtbags. Can you help us? Because I'm not."
As she pauses, I put my hand up. What she means to say is that you seem to lack the moral conundrum that tends to follow our interests in the universe, and as such would not be driven or bound by such limitations.
Well,
It's like they said the same thing.
the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, I think.
Bitte schön.
I am confused, though. In my research, I recently came across the word conundrum in reference to a board game that surfaced and was popular in several sectors in the late 3000s. I don't, as it functions now, I don't want to know why a board game is the topic.
Long, awkward silence as everyone stares at Alfarius. For
He's
a
looking right
moment.
back. He's like, I don't.
Yeah, so
I'm detecting that I misplaced my thoughts. I will retreat into my brain.
So she says we would be willing to give you a better deal. We will pay you from our share of the salvage and the money that we have if you would be willing to broker this deal with the right people.
Well, who's the right people? That's the important question.
If you want to operate outside the law, the syndicate is the place to go.
You told anyone that you found us?
I haven't, but I don't have control over what my crew members say.
I would say to our interests, or at least to the comfort of this, the crew of which we have ascertained for this journey understand the importance and maximum profiteering by keeping such information very close to the chest.
Yeah, and what's interesting, and this is a factor of the way the universe works. It's a kind of a like age of sail equivalency in terms of communication, because once you go into Spike Drive, once you go into space, you can't communicate with anyone outside of it. And then once you come out, all the messages you've queued up, they hit a exchange satellite and fire out into the sector. All the ships that move around in space use the exchange satellites to pick up mail and carry mail for each other, basically. So even if someone does say something, you have until you arrive to figure that out and maybe do something about it.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people looking for the ship, and for me,
It's been 117 years.
Incredibly unlikely.
No one's looking.
You should be one of the most unimportant people in the universe at this
We
point
could
in time.
we could sell it to anyone.
Virtually no one alive knows who you are.
I hope he's right, but I do want to think of the maddest you've ever been at me, which is pretty mad. And
Sure.
I've pissed off people about 10,000 times worse. That's that's the truth. So just be careful who you put out there, what you put out there, especially the pie. That's another hot topic. You gotta be careful.
As a question,
Yeah.
in my research based on the files that were given to me by Chandra, have I heard anything of Higgs?
That's a good question. So one of the files. Well, let's have you make a roll. Is there like a research skill or something? Something equivalent?
We'll just roll double ones, and we won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's computer, but let's see.
I think in this case,
Might be culture criminal.
yeah, culture spacer maybe for like rumors. But if you're doing like the specific research, let's have you roll something intelligence with one of your.
I'll say I'll go in
skills.
Yeah, okay, intelligence and culture spacer just to see if any
Sure.
are.
Yeah, see if you heard stories about the Swan Song.
Oh!
Guys, a couple of crazy old ones
knocking it out of the
there.
park
Doesn't
today.
matter.
Just killing it. Oh, boy.
Have you heard anything about Higgins? It's like, I've heard nothing at all, actually,
Double ones.
about anything.
Or he's heard everything that's completely wrong.
So you didn't put it together. This is great. You didn't put it together before. You're like, wait a second.
These
and then
fucking double
and
ones.
Higgs, you catch her like kind of staring at you, and you're looking at his features, and you're like, wait a second. So there's a government, the government of Asa. Its technical full name is the completely legitimate government of Thorkala, Asa, and several other very important systems. It's the name of the government. So the completely legitimate government, their president is a one Beauregard Higgins. and looking at it, you're like, wait a second, and he's got the features, and you can see, and you're like, wait a minute, I know this guy. They have to be related.
I keep this information to myself. but you watch as my face goes. Beauregard.
I've seen that before. Something. You hiding something from me?
I didn't realize what color are your eyes?
Fuck.
Brown, I thought.
Brown, maybe.
Brown?
Yeah.
Someone in chat right now is like, they're blue.
Yeah.
You said they were blue in the second episode.
I think they were blue, but
I
brown
just-
makes sense. Yeah.
I just hadn't realized until now how blue-brown your eyes are.
Still not attracted, Captain.
I take like a big vibe. I'm like, still got this after.
Old Grandpa Higgins still got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So maybe that's a good time to go to break. Then like, yep, like adjust your underpants and take another bite.
Yeah.
So we'll take a short break and we'll come back with the romantic adventures of Captain Higgins and the Swan Song when we come back. Lots more to come. Stick around.